What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? I'm here in a new game as Austria, and this is going to be the kind of the prelude episode to a new series. And although the date is a little bit later, it's 1553. It's been about 109 years. This game, in many ways, has actually been a better game than my previous game, even at the same date, earlier date. And that's part of the reason that I'm showing this game off to you now. I still have crazy ambitions, and perhaps that will be sort of the final episode, the results. But as time goes on, and by time I mean in the game, the date gets later and later. Somehow it does become, it feels like less in a way, less impressive, and that's why I'm showing off this game to you guys right now. So with no further ado, let's go straight in and flip over to the diplomatic map mode. So as you can see, of course, I am the nation of Austria. I've just taken a big chunk of land from the Ottomans once again, and we have revoked, as you can see, tremendous empire here. I went full in on the empire this time around, not owning land within the region myself. Anything that I do own, of course, was added, and yeah, you can see I've released one province miners for maximum imperial authority. Also having the union over Castile and Aragon as well as Muscovy. I have Brittany and Tunis as subjects, vassals rather, and unfortunately they do not have the modifier that the nations of the empire have, whether they do not share combined strength. So as you can see that they have liberty desire, but that's fine. They're just going to have liberty desire, and nobody is going to be strong enough to support them until, of course, the time that I do integrate the empire, and then all of their liberty desire is going to go away. You can see here that Brittany has exploration ideas. This was very deliberate. I'm very glad that I did that. Nations that are direct vassals will never take exploration or expansion ideas and therefore not colonize, but Brittany is going to colonize for me because he has already taken it, and yeah, now he is my subject. It's all going to be my land, of course. Now you can see that Castile has lost some land to Morocco. That was prior to me personal unioning him. And as soon as my own personal truce in 7 years is up with Morocco, I'm going to take back the Iberian Peninsula. I've also enforced religion on Muscovy, and having religious ideas myself, I'm converting at about 5 months per province, every single one of his provinces, at least the cheaper ones, and it's resulting in a tremendous amount of papal influence, which is the dream. This entire game is the dream. You can see that my allies here are the Pope, and little pro tip for those of you who don't know, this is by far the best tactic I've noticed. Once you actually revoke, you release the Pope from your as being a subject, and that eliminates the subjugation of the papacy, -2 diplo reputation. But what many people don't know is as long as he is inside the empire, you will still inherit him, even though he's not your subject when you click this button. You will still inherit any nation, so it's a little bit exploitative, and it's something that I don't massively try to take advantage of, but it is what it is. Even though he's not my subject, I hit that button, we will get every province, including Rome itself. Allied to England and Poland. England, I'm still holding out hope that I can PU him before the end of the game, although it's unlikely. Poland, did I say the Pope? I meant Poland if I said the Pope earlier. Poland, of course, has my dynasty, and I have one of my many diplomats constantly maxing out support, hoping, of course, that when he changes government type and we can PU him, our dynasty is in place, and we go in and swoop in and take the entire Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which he is bound to form soon enough. So with that being said, showing off my fantastic game here, my plan is to just constantly crusade. I'm focusing my admin points, and I wish to just crusade out towards the east, as well as making both of these two nations, Denmark and France, high priority, resulting in my subjects giving us nice claims, and we're just going to casually, over time, declare these self-autonomous wars. We're going to declare war, they're going to get ripped, and just feed off land to our subjects, which of course we will all integrate freely. Obviously, I plan to feed Tunis, North Africa, and life's really good in the hood. This is, quite frankly, I have a tendency to play weaker nations as opposed to powerful nations, but this is probably the best game that I've ever played. Like I said, setting the benchmark even higher, and I'm really enjoying myself. But the intention of this series, guys, I was thinking about my previous game And there's a few things that I didn't like about it. A lot of people was asking me, why did I attack the Poles? I did it for power projections as the short answer before they became an invalid rival. But I did have the intention to PU them. In fact, I just went ahead and I closed the game immediately afterwards, and the save file that is below that video, I have not declared war on the Poles, and you guys are completely capable of PUing them. So that was not an issue. I should have been more deliberate. I know the EU4 community, you guys catch everything. That is not one of the things I was concerned about. What I was actually concerned about is I was thinking about the consistency. And as it happens, getting the Union over Bohemia is really quite consistent. You can get really unlucky, but at the same time, it is right on the onset of the game. So if you get unlucky, you just try again, right? Similar with Hungary, very consistent. And I have decided that reigning in Italy, now that since when I previously played, you did not have the reduced aggressive expansion, which you always have, negative 10% aggressive expansion with your starting Habsburg ruler. It's definitely doable to reign in Italy as well and overcome the obstacles like getting excommunicated and so on. So the only real thing, guys, similar with getting your dynasty onto Castile, very doable. The only real RNG is the Burgundian inheritance. And another thing that I was thinking about, which did irritate me a little bit about my previous game, is the fact that because I got the inheritance, I moved my capital. For me, I love Austria, and I just feel like Vienna is just such a cooler capital of the world for the empire, and for Austria, of course. So with that in mind, I was thinking about what if I did it with intentionally not getting the inheritance, because that is the RNG element. And I had a big smile on my face this game, guys, when I saw my rival, i.e. this powerful nation out here who owns territory within the empire, getting destroyed and actually losing unions this game. And rather than thinking about, oh, poor me, oh, my inheritance, I was more viewing it as what it actually was, which was my rival being weakened and nations being released into the empire, territory being reconquered, if you will, without me being involved. And I really enjoyed myself removing that RNG element. Now, naturally, if you did get the inheritance, what I would personally do is release nations like Burgundy again, and release individual nations within inside the empire. So, there's one other thing that I wanted to say, and that is throughout the series, guys, you might see, if you're watching closely, like rough cuts, like jumping around. And the main reason because of that, I mean, you guys are welcome to any kind of theory like I'm save scumming or anything like that. There's not much I can do about it. But the main reason is because it is just hours and hours and hours of footage. And in reality, in real life, you know, there were times that I started up the game and I'm doing it in an Iron Man fashion, recording everything that I do. But at the same time, I realized it was not appropriate time for me to be playing, or, you know, I just have something to do, close the game, whatever. That's where those come from. And yeah, before I end the video here, I really want to be clear. This series is going to be an episodic series where I address one issue after another, beginning with the Union over Bohemia. And I'm hoping to inspire players who have less experience than I do to actually have a game of this magnitude, complete and utter dominance. This is before absolutism, guys. Our influence is over the vast majority of Europe before absolutism, and I'm pushing hard into other theaters. And you too could do this, guys, if you are at like a moderate to high game skill level. That is what my series is intended to do, to inspire you to play Austria, but also to own the game as Austria. And I just want to say one last thing, which is please go in with the mindset of where you are going to play them multiple times to get a really good game going. Don't go into the mindset of, I'm just going to play Austria and have the best game ever. Because if you do, you might find yourself being disappointed. And I challenge Paradox because me included, but a lot of people within the community are getting frustrated with the way that Paradox almost retroactively, or is almost hot fixing specific nations based on videos like myself, where they nerf particular nations. And I wonder, after nerfing Austria, I mean, there's a reason that I'm playing them after all. What are you gonna do, Paradox? What are you gonna do? No, plot twist. Austria's the best. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you guys enjoy this series.